Have you ever looked at an old 5-cent coin and wondered if it could secretly be one of the most fascinating coins ever produced in American history? Most people toss these coins into jars, drawers, or piggy banks without giving them a second glance. Yet hidden among millions of ordinary nickels are a handful of extraordinary pieces that have captured the attention of collectors for decades. Some have sold for astonishing prices because of their rarity, exceptional condition, or unusual minting errors. The 1938 Jefferson nickel is one of those coins whose story goes far beyond its face value. It represents the beginning of a new chapter in American coinage, and its journey from the mint to today's collector market is filled with history, mystery, and surprises. Before we reveal what makes certain 1938 nickels so valuable, take a close look at any old Jefferson nickel you may already have. On the front, you'll see the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson with the words, "In God We Trust," the year 1938, and the word liberty. Turn it over, and you'll find the famous image of Monticello, Jefferson's historic Virginia home, surrounded by the inscriptions E Pluribus Unum, United States of America, and 5 cents. At first glance, every 1938 Jefferson nickel appears almost identical. However, experienced collectors know that tiny differences, often invisible to the naked eye, can separate an ordinary coin worth only a few cents from a highly sought-after collectible. The year 1938 was significant because it marked the retirement of the Buffalo nickel after a remarkable 25-year run. The United States Mint wanted a fresh design that honored one of America's most influential founding fathers. Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of Independence and the nation's third president, became the obvious choice. A nationwide competition was held to create the new design, and sculptor Felix Schlag won with his elegant portrait of Jefferson and his detailed depiction of Monticello. Although some changes were made before the design entered circulation, Schlag's work became one of the longest-running designs in American coin history. Millions of Americans encountered the Jefferson nickel for the first time in 1938. People used it to buy food, pay for transportation, and make everyday purchases during a period when the country was still recovering from a Great Depression. Each coin quietly became part of daily life, passing from one pocket to another without anyone imagining that decades later collectors would search tirelessly for well-preserved examples from that very first year. Not every 1938 Jefferson nickel is valuable. In fact, most circulated examples remain common and are generally worth only a modest premium above face value. What transforms a coin into something special is a combination of rarity, preservation, demand, and authenticity. Coins that escaped heavy circulation, retained their original mint luster, and displayed sharp details became increasingly difficult to find as the decades passed. As collectors assembled complete Jefferson nickel sets, the finest surviving examples naturally became more desirable. One fascinating aspect of the 1938 Jefferson nickel is that it was produced at 3 different United States mint facilities. Philadelphia struck coins without a mint mark. Denver produced coins bearing a small d, while San Francisco used an S. Although each mint created coins using the same basic design, differences in production quality, survival rates, and collector demand mean that some mint issues are more desirable than others in top grades. This is why 2 coins from the same year can have dramatically different market values depending on their mint origin and condition. Condition plays a remarkable role in determining value. Imagine 2 identical 1938 nickels. One spent decades changing hands in stores, becoming scratched, worn, and dull. The other was carefully stored away shortly after leaving the mint, preserving its brilliant surfaces and crisp details. Even though both coins were struck in the same year, the well-preserved example could be worth many times more because collectors prize originality and eye appeal. Professional grading services evaluate coins using internationally recognized standards, assigning numerical grades that strongly influence market prices. Perhaps the most exciting feature collectors look for on early Jefferson nickels is the appearance of what specialists call full steps. If you examine the reverse of Monticello closely, you'll notice a series of steps leading to the building's entrance. On many coins, these steps became weak or blurred during striking or through circulation. Coins showing all of these steps sharply defined are exceptionally difficult to find and command significant premiums. To many collectors, full steps represent the highest level of strike quality and are considered one of the most desirable characteristics for Jefferson nickels. Then there are mint errors, unexpected mistakes created during the coin manufacturing process. Errors may include double lettering, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or dramatic die cracks. While most 1938 Jefferson nickels are normal, genuine mint errors are considerably scarcer. When authenticated by experts, unusual errors can become highly collectible because each tells a unique story about what happened inside the mint during production. Collectors enjoy these pieces because no two major errors are exactly alike. Some headlines about rare coins selling for extraordinary prices have encouraged people to believe that every old coin is worth a fortune. In reality, auction records almost always involve coins with exceptional rarity, remarkable preservation, or famous provenance. A heavily worn 1938 Jefferson nickel found in circulation is unlikely to be worth thousands of dollars. However, an unusually well-preserved example with full steps, a significant mint error, or another recognized rarity may attract serious collector interest. The key is careful examination and professional authentication rather than relying on rumors or sensational claims. As the years passed, the first-year Jefferson nickels quietly disappeared from everyday circulation. They were spent at grocery stores, dropped into vending machines, carried in wallets, and forgotten in old jars tucked away inside homes. Very few people in 1938 believed that these ordinary-looking 5-cent coins would one day become collectible pieces of American history. Most families viewed them simply as money, not as future treasures. That simple fact explains why truly exceptional examples have become increasingly difficult to locate today. When experienced collectors search for a 1938 Jefferson nickel, they are not merely looking for the date. They study every tiny detail of the coin. The sharpness of Jefferson's hair, the texture of his coat, the brilliance of the fields, and the fine architectural details of Monticello all help reveal how well the coin survived over the decades. Even a small scratch, fingerprint, or cleaning mark can significantly affect its desirability. In coin collecting, preservation often matters just as much as rarity. One of the greatest misconceptions surrounding old nickels is the belief that age alone creates value. While age certainly adds historical importance, collectors know that history and rarity work together. Millions of Jefferson nickels were struck in 1938, but only a tiny percentage remain in superb original condition. Every year that passes reduces the number of untouched examples because accidents, cleaning, corrosion, and circulation gradually damage surviving coins. This natural process slowly increases demand for the finest preserved pieces. The design of Monticello deserves special attention because it represents far more than an ordinary building. It was Thomas Jefferson's lifelong home, a place where he developed ideas about architecture, education, science, agriculture, and government. By placing Monticello on the reverse of the nickel, the United States Mint honored Jefferson's influence on American history. Every time someone spends a Jefferson nickel, they are carrying a small reminder of one of the nation's most important historical landmarks. Collectors often describe the thrill of discovering an overlooked coin as similar to uncovering a hidden chapter of history. Imagine opening an old family coin jar that has remained untouched for decades. Among hundreds of ordinary coins sits a bright 1938 Jefferson nickel with unusually sharp details. At first glance, it appears no different from the others, but a closer inspection reveals exceptional preservation. Moments like these keep collectors searching because remarkable discoveries occasionally happen where people least expect them. Another feature that fascinates collectors is the original mint luster. Freshly struck nickels display a soft cartwheel effect when tilted under light. This shimmering appearance results from microscopic flow lines created during the striking process. Once a coin enters circulation, that delicate luster gradually fades through handling and wear. Finding an early Jefferson nickel that still displays its original brilliance after many decades is increasingly uncommon and often increases collector interest. Unfortunately, many old coins have lost value because well-meaning owners attempted to clean them. It may seem logical that polishing a dirty coin would make it more attractive, but collectors usually prefer untouched original surfaces. Cleaning can leave hairline scratches, alter the natural appearance of the metal, and permanently reduce a coin's appeal. For this reason, experienced numismatists generally recommend leaving old coins exactly as they are until they can be evaluated by professionals. Stories about forgotten collections continue to inspire coin enthusiasts around the world. Families sometimes discover small boxes of coins hidden inside old furniture, inherited from grandparents, or stored safely inside bank deposit boxes. Although most of these collections contain ordinary coins, every so often an outstanding rarity appears unexpectedly. These discoveries remind collectors that remarkable coins are not always found in museums or auction houses. Occasionally, they remain quietly preserved in private collections for generations. The excitement surrounding rare coins has also attracted misinformation. Social media posts frequently claim that almost any old coin is worth millions of dollars. Such claims spread rapidly because they capture people's imagination. The truth, however, is far more interesting. Genuine rarity is created through measurable factors such as low survival rates, unusual mint errors, historical importance, exceptional preservation, and strong collector demand. Understanding these principles helps separate fact from fiction and allows collectors to appreciate coins for their real historical significance rather than exaggerated rumors. For many collectors, the 1938 Jefferson nickel is more than just a coin. It represents the beginning of an iconic American series that continues to this day. Every example serves as a small time capsule connecting the modern world with the late 1930s. Holding one in your hand means holding an object that has survived world-changing events, economic shifts, technological revolutions, and countless personal stories over nearly a century. Imagine for a moment that your pocket change could speak. A single 1938 Jefferson nickel would tell stories stretching back nearly a century. It might describe the sound of minting presses striking thousands of coins every hour, the excitement of workers watching a brand new design enter production, and the anticipation of Americans seeing Jefferson replace the famous Buffalo nickel for the very first time. That tiny piece of metal has traveled farther than most people ever will, quietly witnessing generations come and go while remaining almost unchanged. The journey of a nickel begins as a blank metal disc called a planchet. Before Jefferson's portrait in Monticello ever appeared, each planchet had to be carefully prepared to meet strict standards for size, weight, and composition. Massive machines then fed these blanks into powerful coin presses where tremendous pressure forced the metal into every detail of the engraved dies. In a fraction of a second, an ordinary metal disc became an official United States coin, ready to enter circulation. Although millions were struck using this process, no two coins would experience exactly the same life afterward. When the first 1938 Jefferson nickels reached banks, businesses, and local communities, they blended into everyday commerce. They paid for newspapers, bus rides, snacks, and household necessities. Children received them as pocket money, merchants counted them in cash registers, and families saved them in glass jars. Every scratch, every tiny mark, and every sign of where seen today represents a chapter from that long journey through countless hands and countless transactions. Collectors often refer to coins as time travelers because they physically connect us with another era. Unlike photographs or written records, a coin is an object that actually existed during historical events. A person holding a 1938 Jefferson nickel today is touching the same piece of metal that existed before World War II, before television became common, before space exploration, and long before the digital age transformed everyday life. That direct connection with history is one of the greatest reasons people become fascinated with coin collecting. One of the most rewarding aspects of collecting is learning to notice details that most people overlook. At first, every nickel seems identical, but experience gradually changes the way collectors see them. They begin to recognize differences in strike quality, surface texture, color, and preservation. What appears ordinary to one person may immediately stand out to an experienced numismatist as an unusually attractive example worthy of closer examination. Natural aging also gives old nickels a distinctive appearance. Over many decades, untouched coins can develop soft gray, golden, or bluish tones depending on how they were stored. Collectors often appreciate these original colors because they provide evidence that the surfaces have remained undisturbed for years. Artificial cleaning may remove this natural appearance, making the coin less desirable despite its brighter look. In the world of numismatics, originality is often valued more highly than artificial shine. As technology advanced, professional grading became increasingly important. Instead of relying solely on personal opinions, collectors began submitting valuable coins to independent grading companies. Specialists carefully inspect authenticity, condition, and preservation before sealing coins inside protective holders with certified grades. This process provides confidence for buyers and sellers, allowing rare coins to trade more fairly within the collector market. Certification has become one of the foundations of modern numismatics, especially for higher value examples. It is also worth remembering that the coin market changes over time. Collector demand rises and falls, new discoveries are made, and auction records are occasionally broken when extraordinary coins appear. Because of these changing conditions, values are never fixed forever. A coin that attracts moderate interest today may become far more desirable in the future if collector demand increases or if exceptionally preserved examples become even scarcer. Perhaps the greatest lesson taught by the 1938 Jefferson nickel is patience. Most valuable collections were not assembled overnight. They were built one coin at a time through careful study, thoughtful purchases, and years of dedication. Experienced collectors understand that knowledge is often more valuable than luck. The more they learn about minting, grading, history, and rarity, the better they become at recognizing coins that deserve closer attention. So the next time you come across an old Jefferson nickel, don't judge it solely by its face value. Take a closer look, study its details, and appreciate the remarkable journey it may have taken across nearly a century of history. Whether it turns out to be a common keepsake or sought-after collectible, every 1938 Jefferson nickel carries a story that has survived the passage of time, a story still waiting to be discovered by the person curious enough to look beyond 5 cents.